What's up, everybody? It's ImmaLetYouFinish, show number 171 on the Pantheon Podcast Network with your hosts, Court and Amy. It is Tuesday, the 23rd, and the Oscar nominations were just announced. You won't hear us until Thursday, but it's Tuesday. Amy's trying to get Knicks tickets for tonight.
Yeah, it's not happening.
You know, people have sent us so many. Y'all have been very kind with this show.
Well, you know how
Books,
it is
concerts.
with Knicks tickets.
We have been begging for Knicks tickets. This is almost June will make 5 years, and not.
Well,
come on.
you know the problem is that everyone wants them now. And you know, and I know.
Yeah, but they can't keep giving them to the Johnny-come-latelys. They need to give us to us day ones who have been Knicks fans when they.
I know. Well, the problem is, as you know, that it used to be corporate. There were always corporate record company seats. I know, like Sony. They used
to have the boxes and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and even just really good like press type seats. They had seats. I remember going on Sony's dime for Yankee games, for Knick games. What? Oh my God! Okay, Courtney, what is happening now? There's explosions and things. What the fuck?
Okay. So you guys can't see this. We see each other when we're recording. We use technology when we can. And only on Amy's, and we cannot figure out why. Sometimes when she's talking, a thumbs up just floats across the screen. Or sometimes, the thumbs up just came. It just came. Or sometimes a heart.
Balloons.
This time, all
now
of a sudden.
Fireworks.
You know what I'm thinking? Is your
Tone of voice?
Is your iMessage open on your computer?
Maybe.
I'm thinking that maybe if somebody's texting you some of those things.
No. Nobody likes me.
So it's not that.
No, it's no connection.
What is it?
I don't know.
What is it?
We will find out.
It's the weirdest. Literally, she was just engulfed in fireworks.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's creepy reading my mood, and it's some like creepy weird thing.
Because it's not the fucking Knicks saying, "Here's a pair of tickets."
No.
Okay.
It's not tickets dropping from the sky.
So
anyway,
first, before we get that, so you're looking. Are you going to buy the ticket?
No, I mean probably not.
Why not? It's right up the street from you.
Yeah,
you literally can walk there.
I know, but it's like $60-something to sit in the scary section.
Oh, yeah.
It's the scary section.
Yeah, and the vertical thing doesn't work.
I do have a history of when I do go to a game, they lose. So maybe I won't go. I haven't been to a game forever, but yeah, I mean, it would be great. I have time to start working my magic. Anyway, Oscar nominations. Once again, I've seen like none of these movies. Greta Gerwig got totally I'm sorry. Not because it was commercially the biggest movie of the year, but if you saw Barbie, what she pulled off was not easy to have like a serious movie and a musical and a da-da-da-da. So she didn't get nominated. I guess they can't have two girls in 1 year, right?
And it's interesting, right? Because a lot of people, like the Justine Triet, who did Anatomy of Fall, which a lot of people have considered the best movie of the year.
No,
right?
Everybody I know who saw it said it's fantastic.
It's really hard to look at this list though and say any of these people deserve it. So it's one of those. It feels like not enough space, maybe.
Well, they said this year is the biggest, strongest. They said this is one of the strongest years because there's a nice balance between made a lot of money and really good. I haven't seen any of them.
But I think that she did for that subject, and we were all like, what the fuck is a Barbie movie going to be, right? I think that the job she did directing that, the surrealism versus then going into the real world, kind of was a pretty brilliant job.
And also, I've never understood how something can be the best movie and the director doesn't get nominated.
Well, because now we used to have 5 best film categories. Now there's 10.
Right.
So it's kind of like, well, it's almost like everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah. I'm just bummed just in terms of, and it's also really weird that they got Best Adapted Screenplay because it's based on a doll.
Did you not see the fight that happened before that? And I thought it was ridiculous. I'm like, yes, it is a doll, but it's not based on, it's
not based on a doll.
It's not, it's an original screenplay.
I mean, Oppenheimer's based on a bunch of nuclear bombs.
Right. But I believe but they're also an adapted.
Oh, are they? I think there was a book. There was a book.
Yeah, the adapted is American Fiction, which I hear is brilliant. I need to see.
Great.
Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, which I hear is amazing. And The Zone of Interest, which I hear is amazing.
There's not anybody here. Well, once again, though, I only saw May, December, and I saw Barbie. I do want to see Oppenheimer, though I did try to find it on the interwebs the other day, and some Japanese slasher film came up, so clearly that was not it.
Well, do you know the Japanese people do not have the same fond affinity for the movie Oppenheimer?
Oh, I'm sure, for good reason. Go figure. They don't want a movie about the guy who killed millions.
And their energy around it is like, this isn't.
But it's we can't predict. It's just going to be fun, I'm sure. I think and we are going to be talking about soundtracks today. I think we can say that something from Barbie is going to win best soundtrack or song of the year. I'm very happy to see American Ferrara get a nomination for best supporting actress.
I didn't see that coming. Yeah, that was
because
cool.
That monologue, again, not to harp on Barbie, but that monologue is really, really good. A lot of firsts this year. First openly gay man, or second openly gay man playing a gay man for Coleman Domingo, who gets best dressed at every award show. We already
let me just tell you something.
Award. No, it's like he's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's just like it's extraordinary. His stylist needs a category of his or her own.
But we do have two black men in the leading actor category this year, with Coleman for Rustin and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, a movie that clearly we need to see, and Bradley Cooper for Maestro.
Yeah, I know. Maestro? Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I mean, I think it's pretty much agreed that Divine Joy Randolph is going to win because she's won everything else.
I feel like she's going to win. Best Actress is Annette Bening, Lily Gladstone, Sandra Hüller.
I think it's going to be Emily... not Emily Blunt.
Emma Stone.
So,
I don't. I think it's going to be Lily Gladstone, who's been winning everything and all the awards all year.
Well, because the BAFTA people vote. A lot of these people vote in it too. I don't know. Either or, it'll be great. It'll be fun. The show will run too long. Who's hosting it this year? Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel is returning for his fourth time. Yeah,
he's good. For whatever.
The Color Purple only got one nomination, and that's for Danielle Brooks.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that movie anyway. Sorry.
Evidently, neither are any of the black people. And,
so there you go. Once again,
Amy and the Blacks, hand in hand.
Once again, I am a strong black woman, and I am not interested.
And you're like, whatever that is.
I'm not interested.
First of all, and it's a very interesting thing, and I hear the young people with this. Their energy is
once again, you sitting around.
I know it always.
You have to stop saying that because it borderlines on creepy.
But the young people have said we're tired of black trauma movies.
Yeah.
We're tired of historical movies. Can we get an action film, a love story, or something? That's why I think American Fiction is being so well received.
It's just a movie. It's an interesting movie.
It's just an interesting movie,
All right. So good luck with everybody. All right. This to me is the story of the week. Mm-hmm. And it actually, whether you write or been in the music criticism biz or whatever, it should be the story of the week for anybody who's concerned about media and press and AI. So Pitchfork, which, true confession, I never wrote for and quite honestly had no use for many, many years because it was sort of like a very snarky indie, bands I don't know anything about. I'd sit there and go, who are these people? I have no idea who they are. Super snarky. Mm-hmm. And the one time I did try to write for them, I got like major hand in the face, which is fine because it was never my vibe, though online, and it's got
but you're like I'm gonna pitch to right here, but it's true. What they were was like those. It seemed like a very young, sort of weird college intellectual, and I liked Pitchfork. Especially when they got
better. Yeah. They did, and what's really Pitchfork was acquired by Condé Nast a couple of years ago, which is the first sign that things are going to get bad. Mm-hmm. And but there was a woman of color as the editor-in-chief, which is major. There were many women writers on it. Condé Nast also has The New Yorker, and then The New Yorker, it's all kind of connected, shut down Talk of the Town, which was always a place you found that really cool stuff going on. All the recommendations, all the people doing writing for Talk of the Town who were freelance were cut, and they brought in the staff writers from Pitchfork, but there would only be one sort of comment. Anyway, Pitchfork has now been folded into GQ. Okay, so
and I was like, when I heard that, I was like, so Condé Nast,
right?
GQ, that's
GQ.
The place. That's
right.
The place for this.
In an industry that is built on misogyny, you're going to tell me that you're going to ask women who are interested in music and want to write about music. I would dare say that more men read Vogue than women read GQ. Is that a fair assessment?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to fold the review section, make it probably like what? A column of like, this is my favorite record. Make the review super short. I'm sure the features are going to be shrunk down to like 500 words, if that. But GQ.
And who's going to write for it? Because they let go of everybody.
Well, they'll find GQ writers. Staff writers at GQ, many of whom are great. But the point is that you've now decided that music criticism is no different from reviewing sneakers. You've made no room for it. So it's really, really disturbing, especially a lot of people lost their jobs. And as somebody made a great point, anybody who's cheering about this because they didn't like Pitchfork is a dick. These are people who lost their jobs. No matter what you think, these are people who lost. So that's
which is happening all across everywhere.
Right. And then SI, Sports Illustrated.
Okay, but see, this is the danger of it was
AI.
sold, and it was sold to sold to one of those nameless, faceless, where you can't put a name to it. Investment capital.
It wasn't Time Warner.
No, they sold it up to one of those. It was sold, I think, to Meredith, and they sold it to one of those venture capitalist groups where you can never put a name to any of those people. It's just like the something group.
Right.
They missed a payment, I guess, for something for the name or whatever, and they just yanked everything away and just kind of like, and it's just done.
Right. And they have found Sports Illustrated. I used to subscribe. Great magazine. Sports writing at its best. Come on, some of the best writing. Great writing.
And GQ, for the record, go back, has not been great in years. I used to read GQ religiously. Used to be good, right? GQ used to be amazing.
Yeah. So, and also Sports Illustrated has decided, well, we can just use AI.
But if we're in a world where Pitchfork, which skewed to really a certain demographic, can't even last, where's anybody going to get any sort of critical music?
They're not. From? You know where they're getting it? When I talk to students, they get it from these guys who do YouTube stuff. There's just one guy who does, I forget his name. They're always amazed at me. Listen, I'm teaching a journalism class this year, and I met them for the first time yesterday. They're super cool. And it's so refreshing to hear people who are in their late teens and 20s going, I want to learn about writing jouralism. Like, bless your heart.
Oh, I know. For you, you must be like... I just like to thank the Academy.
Really?
It's like
I hope you have a backup plan.
You're like that part. It's like this is really important work.
Really,
get a union job also.
Get a union job. Really, but bless your hearts.
Yeah.
But really, bless your hearts. So yeah, it's really, really sad. It's like I said, I did not write for Pitchfork. I know a lot of people who contributed, but it's just one more. You get anybody, when I talk to the young people, when I talk to the old people about the young people, the one thing we all say is there's a lack of critical analysis and critical depth. I always tell, and I'm sure you hear it too, there are a bunch of people in this country, you could tell them that today is Wednesday, and they would say, oh yeah, it is. Why? No, it's not. It's Tuesday. No, it's Wednesday. Why do you think it's Wednesday? Because somebody told me it was. So I
haven't asked any writers this, so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What do you think the future of journalism is? Do you think they're just going to AI everything? Just kind of punch something into a computer?
Journalism. Obviously foreign, you can't AI a reporter going into a war zone. I think that it's shifting more and more to online stuff. I think there is still a need for local news for sure. local. I mean, local news is how you break down important that people still go to newspapers, I think, for their local mayoral elections or something like that. I don't know. Listen, we could do a whole show. There's not a lot of thinking going on in this country right now.
True.
Across the board, there's just not a lot of thinking. So
it's almost frowned upon in some very weird way.
Totally frowned upon. It's like too much effort. All right. Speaking of journalism, and like you and I both relatively on top of stuff. Once again, Michael Azrad, love you. Michael Azrad is always sending me great stuff. He sends me a thing in Messenger. Michael, start emailing me. I never check Messenger, by the way. Just email me. It's so much easier. I did not know that the jury selection had started for the Jam Master Jay murder trial.
And then when you told me, I was like, what are you talking? Really?
Really?
I'm like, that didn't happen?
Well, that didn't happen. How many years has it been since he was murdered?
I mean, hasn't it been like 2 decades or something?
It's been that long, but it's been a long time.
It's been a really long time. Hold on, I'm going to look it up while we're talking about it.
He was murdered on Halloween.
He was murdered in 2002, Amy. It was.
Oh, that's 2 decades. Oh,
yeah, he was murdered in 2002.
Okay, so I don't know what's taken so long, but finally they
were indicted in Carl Jordan and Ronald Washington were indicted in 2020. Okay, the crazy part was the fact that this was about drugs, and who knew that he was moving.
I think everybody in that circle, except for maybe his bandmates, except for, I have to assume, except for Daryl and Joe, knew.
The guys came to get this coke and he decided he wasn't going to move it, and they shot and killed him. And
I will say this, and Jay was a lovely. His associate, I think he was more the street guy than the other 2 guys were. Right. I mean, he was the guy that was behind 50 Cent in the beginning.
Right.
So there was a thin line between the music industry and organized crime, or the entertainment industry and organized crime. I am not, I'm alleging, but there is, obviously he knew these guys because they let him up into the studio.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This wasn't a smash and grab. So it's very sad, but again, really? They must have been holding it up in pre-trial and all sorts of shit. I hope they get justice for him because he was a really nice guy. And no matter what he was doing, he did not deserve to be assassinated.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. Really weird segue, but 2 major, I'm not going to lie, one of more importance to me, probably, women died this week. All right. So first off, Mary Weiss, who was the lead singer and pretty much the face and the voice of the Shangri-Las. Do you know the Shangri-Las are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
That's not surprising.
Leader of the Pack is the song, because they do induct songs. So that is good. The Shangri-Las were one of the bigger girl groups. They were from Queens and Long Island. Mm-hmm. Joey Ramone has said to them, there is no Ramones without the Shangri-Las. There is no New York Dolls without the Shangri-Las. Not because of the style of music. Well, the Dolls and the Ramones definitely borrowed from girl groups, which is why I think a newer generation can't really appreciate how. But the Shangri-Las were attitude, like tough girls. 15 years old when Leader of the Pack came on. 15. So, teenage drama. Shadow Morton, who produced them, then went on to produce the Dolls. So there is a link. Mm-hmm. Just bad girls, just total bad girls. Great voice. Listen to the walking in. Remember Walking in the Sand. Leader of the Pack. Just really, really great teenage drama songs. There's no Amy Winehouse without the Shangri-Las. Aside the Shangri-Las and the Ronettes. The true. When we lost Ronnie Spector a couple of years ago, just great. Well,
the Shangri-Las, so both New York-based.
Well, and that's another thing too. Except for the Ronettes were in Harlem, but the Shangri-Las, like the Ramones, like the Dolls, with that outer borough working class. Which is
a whole different vibe, man.
It's a whole different vibe. Yeah. Being from Brooklyn and Queens was not considered like it's. So they were just great singers. They looked great. They had that big hair and that eyeliner and the tight. That she was 15, 16. That they were kids. So Mary Weiss, I don't know what she died of, but it doesn't matter what she died of. She died. And you want to talk a little bit about Marlena Shaw?
And the legendary Marlena Shaw, who is probably not a household name to the average listener, R&B listener, but she had her probably most famous song is California Soul, which has been sampled a lot. I think that she's one of those artists that people don't think they know, but if you go back and listen to the catalog, you will realize that you've heard samples. Her music has been sampled throughout a lot of things. She made her most famous period. She was recording for Verve and like Blue Note, and
she had a jazz, like a kind of
jazz, absolutely, like a jazzy situation. She died at 81. Her daughter didn't say what she passed away of, but she passed away as well.
Yeah, at some point it's like it doesn't matter. It's like it's sad. All right, I posted this story about a week ago, and I'm glad to see that you reposted it. Dua Lipa, who to me is like pound for pound one of the smarter women, not one smarter, but here's a news flash for every woman who's listening to this. Sit down. Tell me if you've heard this before. The world doesn't appreciate a smart, political, well-read woman. Next story, please.
That part. It was like, I wanted to be to her like newsflash.
Yeah. Well, and also
newsflash. Yeah.
What we along with being like a great performer, and we're both really looking forward to her next record. It should be.
Which she said is going to have it's influenced by rave culture.
Right. Yeah. So that's going to be fun. Dua Lipa, has a book club, which is like an All right, I'm not even going to go and say anything about the other book clubs. But the point is that she's not pitching like, feel good melodrama crap. She's pitching like kind of interesting book. She's also, not American, which brings a whole different perspective to the world.
Absolutely.
And she's also from Kosovo. And, she's Albanian. So she was raised part of the time in a country that had been basically destroyed and then rebuilt. So she has a different perspective on the world. She's also a Muslim, which also brings a different perspective to the world. And she's been slammed for her political beliefs. She's been slammed for a lot of things. And she's basically saying, but what? Bono never gets this kind of criticism. When
he's a man.
Political. Yeah.
He's a man. It's brave when you're a man.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's brave. You're knowledgeable. You're a sage, wise person because you've written songs that people like when you're a man. When you're a woman, it's like you're a heretic. How dare you even have this opinion? I
always laugh when people say, I don't want to, I don't care about music, artists' opinion. Well, they're still like human beings and they vote. I mean, it's not like if the world burns up tomorrow from climate control, having a Grammy is going to save you.
You know
right?
what I'm saying?
Actually, the Grammy will probably melt.
It's like, hold on here, take this. Best new artist.
Really?
It'll save me.
Right. I'm in Taste of Honey. I won't die.
Exactly.
They're still going to have to.
Not a Taste of Honey, bitch.
All right. That was the one. I don't know. I wanted to think of the most ridiculous one humanly.
Now you know you're going to make me go out and pull out my Taste of Honey album today and play it today.
Yeah. That's the only one I could think of that would drive you nuts. Yeah. Why that was the first one that came to mind is really terrifying, but it did.
Hilarious.
Well, I was going to say Jodie Watley, but
yeah. But did you see?
No, and that's like we both live for Jodie Watley.
Did you see the video that I posted of her responding to, I guess Shalimar's doing they've been, they're performing with Ken Griffey's daughters, the Jodie Watley in the group. Okay.
Wait a minute, Ken Griffey, the baseball player?
No, what's his name? Who owned...
It's not Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey's a baseball player.
Right, what is it? It's Ken something. And his daughter's Carolyn. His daughter's Carolyn, whatever the last name is.
Ken Griffey's a baseball player. I was just confused.
And Jodie finally has posted her response to them on stage, Colleen telling these stories about her, and she has left no stone unturned. Yeah. She's had it. Team Jodie Watley on this one. Team Jodie. Her. And there's no Shalimar without Jodie Watley.
There's Shalimar
random lady singing. I don't know who you are, but let me help you out. There's no Shalimar without Jody Watley.
I think it's Ken Griffith. Is that it?
Maybe it's Griffith. Yeah.
Yeah, Ken Griffey is definitely a baseball player. Even I know that. Because he's a big one. Is it Griffith? Now
wait, hold on. I'm about to tell you right now.
All right, while we're talking about that.
Griffey. That's it. Griffey.
You said Ken Griffey.
Yeah, then it was right. Then I was right.
All right.
Well, then there could be more than one.
I guess. Maybe Ken Griffey Jr. is the baseball player and Ken Griffey. I don't know. All right, this will take 2 seconds because we do have a guest today. So this will take a 2-second story. Justin Timberlake is making a return. Who cares? Next.
And my question is...
He has worn out his welcome. Am I wrong?
I said to a friend of mine who...
young person?
Who actually works at the label that he is on.
What label is he on? Is he on RCA still?
He's still on RCA. And that person asked me, well, what did you think? And I said, well, when I was scrolling past, it... Never good sign when it starts, but when I was scrolling past...
To use a phrase you must have used before, you have to let me swallow.
Okay. Twice.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Right. Where was the emojis with that? Right, when I'm choking on coffee. Sorry.
I was like, who exactly is the audience for this record?
Nobody.
I don't think anybody cares. Here's the thing. Young women and young people, NSYNC wasn't their boy group. That was their mom's boy group. So they don't have this attachment to him the way maybe that group would. I was like, they like the K-pop boys. Like, that's why the BTS guys are having successful solo careers. That's why Harry Styles has a successful solo career. They don't need Harry Styles and Justin. And when I see him, when he was at... He had a listening event.
I can say it about men, okay? Yeah. I'll say it. He has not aged well.
Well, you know what it was? When I saw him at his listening event playing, I guess, a song and singing along to it, he looked like the office manager at the holiday party when it's his...
I'm not holding coffee now.
When it's his turn at karaoke and he was up there, and I was just like, I don't care.
He's worn out his welcome.
I think he has with black people for sure.
Oh, for sure, and me,
for sure.
No, he's totally what. I mean, he had his opportunity. Unless he comes back with this absolutely brilliant. I will say it. He's a little. Listen, we don't need him. His last record tanked. People probably know him. That new generation probably knows him from the song from Trolls.
Yes, I would say they know him more from that than anything. And they tried the big NSYNC comeback song. And
nobody cared.
Can you even name the title of the song? I can't. I can't even tell you what the melody of the song is.
No, I have no idea. It came and went. Do you want to take a break, or do we want to?
Well, I think we'll take a break when our guest comes, and we'll take a break there, and then we come. Can I just say this? Yeah. I hated that Troll song, and I know it was a huge hit. It was not that like good. That song at all.
You know what it sounded like? It sounded like when famous people who really have no business writing a children's book and they have kids, so they decide to write a children's book so that they can stay in the market and basically hire somebody to write it, and then they put it together. That's what it sounded like.
You mean like Madonna's children's book phase?
Or anybody's children's book.
She was wearing floral dresses and had an undercurl?
No, anybody. There are very few, but it felt like that. So it felt like, I have a kid now, so let me do a song for kids. Yeah. I mean, it was not a bad song, but it was just like, I mean, the movie was called Trolls. Is that the movie
that's from
you want
the
to be
Trolls
associated?
Dolls. Well, you know the Trolls dolls. So
no, I know what they are, but I'm saying when you're Justin Timberlake and you are have nothing but bad energy around you, do you really want to be part of a movie called Trolling People? Don't the kids say you're trolling somebody? Don't the kids say that? I'm trying to keep up with what the kids say, because the kids they change their expressions all the time.
No, they're using all of our old expressions and acting surprised that they're not, like cap, and they're saying
they're using it wrong though.
And they're using it complete. And then I'm looking at them like, you didn't discover this.
No, A, you didn't discover it, and B, you're using it wrong. When you're capping on somebody, it's a negative.
Well, they are using it as a lie. Capping does mean lying.
Yeah,
but that's how they're using it. When they say no cap, they're saying no lie. That's what they're saying.
Well, I had a conversation yesterday with a young person who I'm related to, and I told her not everything is a verb. You have to stop turning everything into a verb. There is no such thing as thrifting.
I say thrifting.
Well, you're wrong. You go to. If you were going to Target, would you say I'm targeting?
Well, no, because if I'm black, targeting can mean
no. But what I'm saying is, would you say I'm stopping shopping? No, you're going to a thrift store to buy something. It's not thrifting. And excuse me, I have been going to thrift stores since I was 15 years old.
Me too.
Back before they called it vintage.
Back when New York had great thrift stores.
Oh, I got some great.
And I mean, Miss Thing, and I used to get so much. Do you remember the Fear store that Drea DiMatteo had in the East Village? Do you remember her shop? I used to love that shop. And I used to go there and buy old Levi's and T-shirts.
Used to go to iBus and Company and buy air traffic controller uniforms. I wore like jumpers.
Oh, me too. I used to love those. Oh my God.
I used to buy like jumpers and stuff like that.
Or I used to go someplace that used to be not far from you in Williamsburg called Domsey's. Okay, if you are an old school New Yorker, of a certain age.
I still have shit from Domsey's. I still have a coat from Domsey's. I will never get rid of it. I never wear it. Right. But it's like a black leather pimp coat. I will never get rid of it because I love it.
And I have this leather trench that I still have from, there was a thrift store. I don't remember the name of it. Maybe you do. It was on Bleecker Street. And it was in between Christopher and what's the next one?
I can't think of it.
Maybe like 10. And, it's this long leather trench that I got for $25 that I had
Domsey's was by the pound, right? You just fill a bag.
Domsey's was by the pound. You filled up bags and it was by the pound.
Poor Lucian. I dressed him in so much Domsey's stuff. And now, of course, that would be considered, being like forward fashion. But, when you're 4, you don't want to wear a cowboy shirt with fringe.
Right.
And I basically dressed him like Woody from Toy Story.
Which is now actually back because you see everybody's doing cowboys.
I was on the foreskin.
You were on the my parents. I remember they used to buy me cowboy boots. I had cowboy boots when I was young, which now makes me want a pair of cowboy boots. And on that note, let's we're a mess. We're going to take a break and be right back.
Hey, Pantheon listeners. Christian Swain here, taking a break from listening to a little Shout It Out Loudcast episode. Love Tom and Zeus talking all things Kiss. Of course, I was listening to them on my new Raycon wireless earbuds. They have quickly become my go-to earbuds because of the comfort. These soft tips are the best I've ever used. And at this price, plus a Pantheon discount, Raycon is really hitting on all marks. Sound quality is great too. I really love having these 3 EQ options because I like more bass in the music, but less in my podcast. 8 hours of playtime for the battery is great as well. Surround sound, noise isolating, and awareness mode are all included. These are great earbuds. Go to buyraycon.com/Pantheon today to get 20% off your Raycom order plus free shipping. That's right. You'll get 20% off and free shipping at buyraycon.com/Pantheon. buyraycon.com/Pantheon. Hey, Pantheon listeners, Christian Swain here. Another day, another podcast I'm working on. This time, it's Famous and Gravy with Amit and Michael. I want to let you know that I loved the Factor Meals package so much that I re-upped for myself, and then I sent a package to my in-laws. Like I was with my first shipment from Factor Meals, the in-laws were as excited to try one of the prepared restaurant quality meals. Well, they got the shipment of Protein Plus meal plan and were very impressed. See, being in their 80s, anything to make the meal prep easy is a plus for them. They heated the oven per instructions and minutes later were enjoying a very delicious, nutritious, and dietitian approved meal. One big win for me. But what really floored them was the taste. Like I told you, it's surprising how good these meals taste. Restaurant quality indeed. And like my own shipment, it really was everything Factor Meals said it would be for some seniors. No prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are 100% ready to heat and eat. Take it from me and my in-laws. Head to factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. That's factormeals.com/Pantheon50 and use the code Pantheon50 to get 50% off. Thank you, Factor Meals.
Hey folks, Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson here from the Metallica Report.
And we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast family, where the best of music and podcasts unite.
We've got something pretty cool for you. We're giving away an exclusive Metallica merch package worth over $250.
That's a whole lot of Scary Guys, Skulls, M72, and other sought-after Metallica swag. And we've made it easy for you to win. Follow and share the Metallica Report, and you're in the game. Go to pantheonpodcast.com/Metallica, enter your email, and hit that button to be entered to win.
And just like that, you're eligible for our monthly exclusive Metallica merch package.
And guess what, rockers? You can enter every month, so just do it. And while we love our global brothers and sisters, the lawyers won't let us ship outside the U.S.
And we're back.
We're back.
Can we talk about your boyfriend Drake for a second?
I just want to check. Is our friend?
No.
All right. Should I text him and see what's going on? He said he's on. He said to me, "I'm going to read. We are."
Yeah.
He said, "I see a box that says Amy in court and is recording. Do I click on that?"
Yes. Yeah. So then it'll come up on my screen that he's in the waiting room.
Yeah.
I don't need a guy.
I don't need a good there. Stop
who
with that.
I feel like constantly has weird issues with women. And when a woman says that she was shot, and because he was friends with the man who's been convicted of shooting her.
Shooting, that's a verb.
Shooting her. That's actually a verb.
That is a verb, yeah.
And is serving jail time, and trolled her to talk about the negativity that's being put in the world and young people. I'm like, listen. There's a lot of negativity in this world, but there's also a lot of positivity in this world. It's right there for you. Grab it.
I would say one of the positive. Okay, I clicked and all I see is preview recording.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna tell him I'm gonna resend him the invite right now. That's hilarious, guys.
I think it's the same issue with mine. You know. I think it was the wrong link. I'm looking at me. I'm multitasking.
No, I don't know. It just sometimes it gets weird. And
all right. Well, the thing is, Drake is a whiny baby. There, I don't want to say bitch because that gives him the superiority of being a woman. He's a whiny baby. Whine. Most Yassine Bey. Very tongue-in-cheek, but very funny. We talked about it last week. Kind of made fun of
he doesn't come for the men, right?
No, because he comes for women all the time.
Because I'm like, he tried to come with some. I felt like the response he had for him was kind of weak, but
because he knows better than to go up against somebody who's an acknowledged lyricist, no matter what you want. And Yassine has his problems too. He's not. His hands are not clean, but you can never. And there's nothing wrong with hip hop being pop music. We've acknowledged that it's popular from the beginning, but Drake is a rapper. He's not an MC,
right?
And he's a whiny baby, and he's aging out. Did you know he was Larry Graham's nephew? I think you did know he was.
Yeah,
Larry
I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is maybe that and being Jewish are probably his only two redeeming qualities. Oh no, and he's Canadian, which is I like Canadian.
And they're usually nice.
He's a whiny baby. He has to stop whining. Go take your seat at the Raptors game. Give RJ and okay, look at me. I'm two things.
I just sent another one through the Riverside again, so he should be able to just click on the email.
Right. We'll just very quickly talk about Madonna. People are suing her because she's on late. Somebody made a very good point. I mean, she is late. I think it's rude. I don't care if it's supposed to happen all the time. It doesn't matter. It is rude. That said, the show did start at 8:30. She just wasn't on stage.
Absolutely. There was. She has an opening act.
There were people there.
Yeah, there's an opening act. And
Yes.
listen, she's in New York right now. She was at the Garden. Last night was the first night at the Garden. She came on at 9:50.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she came on at 9:50. So.
And New Yorkers. Again, I understand.
Wait, the two. But I was like, you two queens. Listen, let me not call them queens because I felt like it was some older gays who were very angry because it was like. The show ended up late. We couldn't get Ubers. There's no transportation home. I was like, in New York City?
That was my thing.
In New York City.
Barclays is literally 4 steps away from the Grand Central Station of Brooklyn.
Every subway, the Long Island Railroad.
Everything.
There were Ubers. It may have taken you a while, but there were Ubers.
There were still regular cabs. There were still yellow cabs.
There's buses. I was like, this is buses. The one thing you can absolutely do in New York City is get home.
Right. This is a 24-hour transportation city. It's not like England where they have the late bus. Oh, I see something happening. I see a yellow screen, which is not me. Oh, Guy, you've been in the music industry since you were 4? It's her. Wait. You're coming. I want to see your shiny face. How does he get out, Courtney? All right.
Well, Amy, introduce our guest.
I'm going to introduce the Invisible Man. All right. First off, I have to preface it by saying, spoiler alert, Guy Routte is a dear old friend of mine who, I'm going to say it to your face, Guy, or your blank screen. One of the nicest people I know. And that's saying a lot. No, you are. You're a really nice guy, and no pun intended. Guy Routte, but along
because she knows me, which means she does not know nice people.
No, that's true. Courtney is nice. Courtney can be nice. You just have to catch him at the right time of day, which is clearly not when this show is taping.
At all.
Guy Routte is many, many things. He has been a recording artist. Aftershock. Remember them, Courtney? They were on Virgin. Aftershock. He has been a manager. Family Stand. Corey Glover. Jean Grey. Pharoah Monch, who, by the way, I am texting like a motherfucker. Get him on to return my text. Guy, I want him to come to my class. Or you can come. And he is a music supervisor. And he has done, we're going to talk about music supervision, and we're going to talk about what the difference is between putting a soundtrack together and music supervision. But he has worked on the great movie, The 40-Year-Old Version. You've seen that, Courtney?
I have.
I know. Great movie. And Wash It in Black. Are you coming on? We're going to see your cute face? Because I put on makeup.
Do you see where in the bottom where you says camera across the bottom? Okay. Well, you know what? Listen, no one can see us anyway. So.
Wait, you keep blanking out and going to G and going to yellow. It's because you're black. Oh, how do I look? Thank you.
You managed Jean Grey. Jean Grey is amazing. I always wondered why, like, she was so heralded. You know what I mean? People love Jean Grey. Love.
As we're doing this, Courtney, you keep blanking out and turning to yellow. This is so scary. Just like clear up. Well. You're in Chrome, right? Oh, now you're turning purple. Now you're turning yellow. Oh my God. Before we start talking about music supervision and what you do for a living, can we just talk about our Knicks this year? Yes.
That's what I said. There were people on our page being like, I was like, you know what? Let's not nick it up.
Let's
nick it up. I said, I still feel like we have a move or two to make, but I was really upset. I was one of those people who didn't want to see RJ go, even though I was so mad at the inconsistency with him because I could see that he could be great, and then, he was so up and down. But I'm looking at this trade and I'm like, this hasn't been terrible.
No.
Yeah. Right.
And what? Optimism? I know.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I feel the same exact way.
Well, I think part of it is because Jim Dolan, which is the reason we may never win a championship because he's a horrible human being, has been focused on Las Vegas, so he's staying out of the Garden and his horribleness. Yeah, I mean, look, it would be great. I figure if the Lions can make it as far as they have, maybe there's a chance for the Knicks.
Listen, stranger things have happened, right? You can't stay terrible forever. You can't stay terrible forever. And we've had a really long stretch of terrible. So a little bit of optimism isn't terrible, you know?
Yay! Hi, Guy. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. I was like, this would be a travesty.
Well, no, or it would just be a typical recording of our show.
Right.
It's good to see you guys, man. Listen,
good to see you. How's it been? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I remember when you guys were starting this podcast, and you were like looking for technologies and stuff, and we were uptown. We met at the Edge, I believe.
Oh, we sure did.
And how many years has it been? It's been a couple of years.
June will be 5, actually.
June will be 5.
Oh my goodness! That consistency is a beautiful thing, and that's the only way you can build anything.
Thank you. We actually can't believe it. We're like, holy shit.
Well, the smartest move we ever made, and I have to credit Jesse, who's a friend of Jesse Kirschbaum, who helped us. He said during the pandemic, just load it up with content. Don't go bi-weekly, go weekly.
He told us to go weekly, and we were like, "Oh, we're gonna have to say every week." We're like, "That's a lot of work."
That's that's a lie. You always have something to say, and
I mean, right?
You guys are both brilliant minds, and it's just wonderful. Thank you for deeming me worthy of coming and gracing your show. I appreciate it.
I do have a very soft spot for you. You always would have known that. I've
always
had a soft
Amy,
spot for the guy.
You came down here to Baltimore. I live in Baltimore now. Pandemic ran me up out of New York, and
to Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Listen, Baltimore is the Brooklyn black diaspora.
Yes, okay? It is. Yes, it is.
Well, listen, my Ultra Nate is a Baltimore native, so I'm never going to diss Baltimore because, Ultra's my girl. So yes, Baltimore is golden.
But listen. First of all, lifelong New Yorker, never thought I would ever leave New York. Married a beautiful woman who was actually born in Baltimore.
I love your wife.
And she's so great. And then we went to... So pandemic hits, we're living in Harlem. We're living on 125th in Amsterdam, right across from Grant Projects. Ridiculous. Just the amount of sirens, amount of cats on my porch selling illegal substances and shooting dice with no masks on and bodies piling up. And I'm just like, yo. So my wife was working at the Apollo, Shanae. Let me give her name. Shanae was working at the Apollo, and she got furloughed. And I said, hey, baby, we were living in a studio, 4-flight walk-up studio.
Right.
Let's just rent a car and just drive to your mother's. Her mother lives in Georgia, Warner Robins, Georgia, military. Drove down there, and after 2 days of being there in quiet, I was like, I can't go back to that.
I could do this.
I'm like, I knew I didn't want to live in Georgia. That's a little too. But I said, we have to find somewhere else to live. I thought it would be Jersey. I thought it would be something, whatever. And then, a friend of mine, Elisa Blunt Moorhead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Elisa says she lives in Baltimore. She lives, a block away from me. But she said, hey, I know you're thinking about Baltimore. My family is going to Mexico for 3 months. Why don't you come house sit for me? And we came in house sat, and that was it. We were sold, and, we just found a place. And then Amy comes down, and she brings me, we go to Good Neighbor, which is my favorite coffee shop, design spot, and reintroduces me to Don Palmer, who's down here as well. And Don has been here for, over about a decade, I think.
Yeah.
And then Don convinces me to get on the board of the Creative Alliance. And so now I'm on the board of Creative Alliance, which Don left the board, and now I'm an executive committee. And
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
And I helped them. Cool. I helped them find their new executive director, which is my boy Jason Steer. I think they announce it tomorrow. Jason Steer.
This comes out Thursday, so it's good.
We've never gotten into trouble about saying things on the show that you're not supposed to say. I have sidebar.
But anyway, Jason Steer's taking over, and he was an Apollo guy who work with my wife, and so when the job offering came up, I was like, I think Jason would be good for this, and I put his name in the hat, and because I put his name in the hat, it's making me
you're a star.
A star on the board. So now they put me on every committee, and I'm doing all this work that I got to pay for. It's ridiculous.
Welcome to nonprofit.
Courtney, I forgot to send you my bio. I'm sorry, man. I need it.
That's okay.
Just send it to me. I'll make something up. I went online. Doesn't matter.
But I'm doing so many different things. It's ridiculous. So,
Well, that's good. But we want to talk to you about one of the we want to talk about soundtracks. The nominations for the Oscars came out today, and there's there's always a best news, song category, soundtrack. Yeah. So first, explain it to us like we're 5-year-olds. What's the difference between a soundtrack and music supervision? Is there?
Well, yeah, soundtrack is usually the recording that you put out as a promotional item for the film. Doesn't always have to include the songs that are in the film, a la Def Jam in the 90s. And, Nutty Professor soundtrack and stuff like that didn't have anything to do with the film. But oftentimes it's the score of the film or whatever. Music supervision is the movie that's in the film. I mean, the music that's in the film. And it's as a supervisor, I'm the person that, hires the composer, finds the songs, helps the director, or in television, it's the showrunner, decide what creatively is best for a scene or a tone or whatever. So, and then, has to do the paperwork to justify it, and, in terms of budgets and all that stuff I hate.
Right.
It's not that far from A&R.
So my question is, are you getting a script early? Like, how early are you so you know everything that's going to happen?
Yeah.
And you're sitting in these meetings so that you know the timbre of everything, and that's how you start to go out and look for.
Yes, and that's how I do it. I'm not saying everyone does it, because most supervisors are admin people. Most people supervisors are not creatives. I'm hired in the 2 jobs I've had. I'm acting like I'm this old G, but I'm hired mostly because of my creative side. So. When Rada for 40-year-old version came to me, and she was like, I want you to be my music supervisor, I had no idea what a music supervisor. I knew Barry Cole and, Morgan Rhodes and some of the folks, but I didn't really know what they did other than, the person I harassed to try to get one of my songs in a film. So I said, I don't really know. And Rada was like, well, I never directed before either, so we're going to figure it out together. But she was like, I really need you to help me shape the sound of this. I'm coming to you not because... And I had to actually hire an admin because I'm not clearing songs and stuff. I hire somebody to do that for me. But so with her, what she came to me, her first note to me with 40-year-old version, she said, I want, let's shape the sound of the producer. D is the producer. He's from Brownsville. I want his beats to sound like Sean Price would rhyme over them. And I said, okay, that's easy. I'm going to get you the guys that Sean Price rhymed though. I'll get you Crisis, and I'll get you Beat Miners. But I went to a bunch of knots, and I went to a bunch of producers and got a bunch. And then we started to shape the sound of that. And then she was heavily on the jazz side as well. And, there was a couple of songs that she knew she wanted from the gate. She knew she wanted Quincy Jones join Love and Peace. And then she wanted, there was a couple of things. She wanted Love Supreme, which we couldn't clear. It was a big problem. The Coltrane Estate has decided that they don't license just that song.
Would you
anymore.
clear it if somebody else played it? If it
probably
wasn't Coltrane?
Well, no, probably maybe not, because it wasn't a master use thing. It's a publishing thing. They just don't clear it. So we probably couldn't have cleared it if someone else played it. But just that song, they're like, pick any other song in the catalog you can have. You can't
have like anything else.
And we ended up using the Quincy Jones songs for that. So it was a real learning experience. That was guerrilla, low budget, shooting 30 days in Harlem and the Bronx and in Brooklyn. And so she allowed me to come on set. Most music supervisors don't come on set. I helped with some of the casting, like when she had rappers battling. I got all of them cats, assisted in helping her find the lead Oswald Benjamin. Well, she found him, and I had a contact to him. So let me not take more credit than I deserve here. But so I was, because it's my friend. We were living a couple of blocks away from each other. It was just like, yo, let's just get together and anything. And she allowed me to come on set and really see the process, and also allowed me to sit in editing and in sound mixing, which is most supervisors don't get a chance to do that either. So it's been great. And then the second gig is Washington Black, which is Selwyn Hines, who's like my brother. And Selwyn called me and said, "Hey," so he saw Forty.
I'm sighing just because Selwyn's the best.
Yeah, we love Selwyn. Selwyn's like, when I say he's my brother, like I'm literally his daughter's godfather. This is my friend. So he's like, I wanted you on this project anyway. Now you got the credentials that I can get it through Disney. Because 40 version obviously went on to win a bunch of awards.
Yeah, it was a huge hit.
And we got I got nominated for a Black Reel Award for score or something like that. It was ridiculous, because for something I didn't even really know existed so I started working with Sel on this, and it was a big fight with Disney at first because they didn't want to pay me enough money. But he was like, "I need you to be on set, and I need you to," and I'm like, "Yo, man, this is 9 episodes. I've never done television, but I know that this is not enough money." So, we fought. We fought. They were like, "Oh, we've never paid a supervisor." I said, "Well," I said, "Listen, you can hire someone else." We're like, "But the showrunner wants you." Well, then you need to pay me, So, and it's a period piece, and it's slavery era, 1830s to 1860s. So it's been
so no hip hop then.
Well, we're gonna always find hip hop. We're always gonna find a way to put hip hop in something. You know what I mean? So we got doing the score. The composers we have are Ali Shahi Muhammad and Adrian Young are doing the score.
I didn't know Ali was associated with this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Listen.
Oh, okay. I'm going to keep sounding like every person you bring up is the nicest person ever. All right. Ali is also the nicest person.
Ali is actually the nicest person ever,
He actually is, because he was in a group with Tip and didn't kill him.
It really is an interesting conversation we're having, because I always thought that...
and Tip is the nicest person, too.
Yeah, I always thought that the score, the composer, that was a completely separate department than the music supervisor that worked in tandem. I had no idea that the music supervisor actually hired the composer.
Yeah.
Probably not in every case. So,
right.
In a case like, let's take say Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Ryan Coogler went to college with his composer. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry. It's a German name. But, and so he hired the composer before I'm sure he hired the supervisor. You know what I mean? So it was like, right. In that case, you inherit your supervisor.
He won an Oscar for Black Panther, didn't he? He won an Oscar for composing that music.
It's not Hans Zimmer. It's not.
No, it's not Hans.
No, it's not. He's a young guy.
He's a young guy that they went to USC together, and so he's done both of the films. He's really brilliant. So he was in the music department, and Coogler was in the directing, and they just became friends. But so like a lot of times, so in films, director is the head honcho. In television, it's the showrunner, and the showrunners or the directors usually have a really clear understanding and vibe of what they want to do musically. So they usually already have a bunch of this, and then usually the music supervisor is just that, a supervisor, to try to kind of come in and execute the vision of the director or the supervisor or the showrunner. In my case, a bit, I'm allowed a little more creative license to come in and suggest, and I often told people, I said, I think this is my last job as a supervisor, because I think I need to step up to be a producer, because that's where the real credit and money is. Right. But because I think I'm doing more than the average supervisor, but I'm probably less, less good on the admin side. But I feel like
you can be a producer and a music supervisor. Those things can coexist.
They need to up my title. Well, let me get this one off and let people like it. If I get this one off and people like it, we'll see. But I'm also I'm working on film. I directed a documentary short for a project I worked on. So I'm really trying to put myself in a film. I worked on this project a art installation project called Emancipation with the artist Sanford Biggers and my crew, Mass Consortium, at the Chazen Museum of Art. And it was re-examining a problematic monument called the Emancipation Group. And initially they wanted to do like a counter monument, and we decided to do a whole programming thing around it, and really have a conversation as opposed to just hiding the monument or trying to put another statue in front of it. We were like, no, let's have a whole conversation. So we did symposiums, and we brought in artists, brought in Keon Harold on trumpet, we brought in Farrell March, we brought in my sister Lenore made these wonderful capes, and we did all of this. We brought in poets and we did all of this stuff to kind of say what is the conversation about? What's the history of this statue? What is the conversation about it? How does it make people feel when they come and see it? And what's the who are the people around the statue in the room, and why is it only enslavers around that? Blah blah blah. And then we ended up at the end of it. Sanford then made a piece called "Lifting the Veil," and we did this exhibition at the Chazen Museum. Got really really great reviews in the Times. But we filmed the whole process, and so now we have a documentary short to go with it. And it's my first time directing, so.
Good for you.
And so I did the supervision on it, and so I live in a community called Reservoir Hill, which is equivalent to be living in Fort Greene in the 90s. So I'm surrounded by genius level filmmakers. Terrence Nance lives up the block. Around the corner is Bradford Young, Academy Award winning cinematographer. Sean Peters lives up the block. He's incredible cinematographer. Lisa Moorhead, who's producer, director, and writer. And Rada Blank has a house around the corner. So Tarana Burke lives 10 minutes from us. So Baltimore is becoming a really incredible creative hub. And so we have a crew that we put together of all these creatives called, we call ourselves Lala Bella. And we just bought a building.
Oh,
and
nice.
We're creating a creative hub here. And it's huge. It's 64,000 square feet. We're going to put some sound stages in it. We're going to put some, this is the reveal. This is an exclusive. I'm working on opening a vinyl pressing plant.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so
that's really smart.
So that's one of my passions now.
You want to open it in Baltimore?
In Baltimore, I'm doing everything.
There's the space for it. There's totally the space for it.
Space is there. We have space in the building we just bought. So, I want to bring some manufacturing to the city. I'm in love with this city.
Yeah,
I'm really in love with this city.
And Baltimore has always had an interesting kind of artistic back. It's like you have three levels of you had the John Waters Baltimore,
without question. I go to the store all the time.
The Barry Levinson Baltimore, and then you had the David Simon Baltimore.
Yeah.
And you have all these people, they all kind of cross-pollinate, and now you have the Brooklyn diaspora Baltimore.
Without question. And then I have really good friends that work in the mayor's office, so I have, connectivity there. My wife's whole family lives here, and she has a huge family. So my sister came down. I have cousins here. And so, I'm having a really good time, and I'm bringing my New York energy.
You just got to lose the accent. You have to start saying, "Hey, hon."
Nah. Keeping the accent, but I did lose my Jets for the Ravens.
Well, listen, you got on a winning train and you got off of the crazy bus.
Well, the thing is, what's interesting about it was I left the Jets when Woody Johnson went to work for Trump.
Ugh.
And I was like, okay, enough. This has been the most painful organization I've ever rooted for in my life. And now, Mark Sanchez with the butt fumble, them not taking all the way back to them not taking Marino in the 84 draft. Anyway, so I'm like, you know what? I'm getting off this train. And it was the same year that Lamar got picked up. I was like, it was a year before that. It was the year that Flacco went to the Super Bowl. And I was like, I'm going to be a Raven. Just before I met my wife, and I started rooting for the Ravens then. But so, but I'm still.
Well, they're doing good. I'm excited. I want them to go all the way, and I absolutely want to see Lamar hoist that trophy this year. I want that for him so badly. I really do. Because they tried him so much. Like when there was a draft, you should be a running back. You should be this. And then I love the fact that he doesn't have an agent. He negotiated for himself, and everybody was trying to say he's dumb. He shouldn't do this. And all those teams that have shitty quarterbacks, we don't have a need for a Lamar. I mean, he was disrespected so much.
And was quiet. Very quiet. And they said he's going to ruin his career. He's not going to get his deal. He got the richest deal at the time, and just shut up and came to work and balled out and had an MVP season, and is one game away from the big dance. They said he couldn't win in the playoffs. And they told me the Texans was going to come in here and shake up the world, and they didn't. And now we got to go through the best. We got to go through Patrick Mahomes, which I wouldn't want it any other way.
But they've been playing like shit. They've gotten lucky a couple of times because of the mistakes of the other team. If Baltimore can do what they do at their best, they have a really great shot of winning.
I'm excited, and the city will be on fire. Hopefully that's for real.
Well, I don't think the city needs to be on fire. I think that city's been on fire before. We might want to use another analogy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The city will be in
excited, very excited,
in a pool of joy. But
a pool of joy. Yeah.
What I'll say too is that from an artist perspective, if you're a visual artist or a music artist or a writer, this is the best place to be right now. This is such a fertile ground for creativity, and they respect it. They respect it the way I think New York used to respect it when New York felt smaller when we were all in Brooklyn, and there was places to always be where there was amazing creativity going on. And I'm trying to tell these kids here and these young folks that don't feel like you got to leave here. This is the energy. You got it. You got the energy here. Don't let them people trick you into believing you got to be in New York or in LA. You could do the shit right here. And, there are all these programs and arts districts and, funding for, and that, one of the reasons I'm excited to be on the board of Creative Alliance, they have artist residencies and all these other things. So I'm excited about this, I fully tapped in, as you see. My third year, my third year anniversary is March.
Congrats. Let me just not to be. Courtney, I'm sorry.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
all we need is the commercials.
Yeah, commercial breaks, man.
Often that was your commercial break for the Charm City Tourism Board.
Charm City Tourism Board. My wife says, Shalene's always like, man, they need to hire you down at Live Baltimore.
Yeah. You can sit there with
Listen, the thing is, New York has made it. My sister just asked me this yesterday. It's funny we're having this conversation because she left New York a gazillion years ago. She went to college in Virginia, came back to New York after college, was like, tried to work here, was like, you know what? Life, you don't actually have to live like this. Went back down to Virginia.
Yeah, it's too heavy. It's too heavy,
And she was asking me yesterday, she was like, do you really think New York is that different? Because when I was just home for Christmas, I was trying to tell them how different it is. I was like, it feels like it's been homogenized. All of the things that felt special have been priced out. There was no little place where everybody would go. I used to have a lot of places where I would go sit down and eat, sit at the bar, know everybody. All of those places are gone. They've been replaced by these things that don't have that energy. And for young people who used to come here to be creative and find a dream, it's like, you can't afford to do that anymore. There's no,
you can't afford
get a cheap little apartment and go on auditions and do all of this stuff. It's just not affordable anymore. And it pushed a lot of creative people out of here.
And because now you can audition on Zoom, there's no reason to be here. So the other thing is, so I come to Baltimore. I went from my 4-flight walk-up studio Harlem apartment to a brownstone with 5 bedrooms and 2.5 baths.
Oh, good! I have a place to stay when I come down.
Without question. And I'm here in my office, my basement office, You know, I used to have to leave my apartment and go to the coffee shop to be able to work. So, you start to, and basically for the same price. And so you start to say, well, what am I doing? Like this place I live in right now would have been $2 million in Harlem. So it's just, it's utterly ridiculous that anybody, once you step away and you kind of break yourself with a narcotic of New York City, you can get sushi at 4 a.m. It's like, well,
and you can't even do that anymore. That's the thing. Everything closes at 10 o'clock. Nothing's even open.
I'm in bed by 11. So it doesn't matter. You know?
Look at you, young person. You're in bed by 11. I'm in bed 9:30. All right, I just want to please. I'm an old woman. I'm counting the days. 5.5 more months to my half price Metro card.
She is waiting for that 65. She's like, I want every discount.
I am waiting for it. And Medicare. I cannot wait.
Embrace it.
All right, let me ask you again. So I start thinking about soundtracks that I really love. I don't think anyone uses music better, in my opinion, than Scorsese. Scorsese has always, Until the End of the World, the Wim Wenders movie, One from the Heart, which was...
so you're talking score more than you are soundtrack.
Well, that's what I'm asking. The Basquiat soundtrack, the Jason Lyric soundtrack. Now, is the soundtrack, the
Dead President's soundtrack?
Yeah.
Has an amazing score and an amazing soundtrack.
Is it the stuff, like if I'm hearing Layla in Goodfellas, is that considered the soundtrack, or is the score the instrumentation, or is the soundtrack?
No, the score is anything you hear that's on the screen.
Okay, on the screen itself. Okay.
On the screen, the soundtrack is the companion piece that you buy, which can include the score.
Okay.
Or can include can include stuff that's not in the score. Could be inspired. Prince did the inspired by, or Jay-Z did the inspired for American Gangster. That's stuff that.
But Danny Elfman, they put out the Batman.
Elfman, then they put out the the score. But usually the soundtrack is the combination. It's like, yes, you had Layla, and so that's going to be on the soundtrack, and whatever other bits and pieces, and then they'll have some score. But what you should notice about this, Amy, is Wild West. It's like whatever you say it is,
right?
And people have their definitions, and then somebody comes and breaks the rule anyway. So
my question to you,
but when you're speaking score though. I'm sorry.
When you're watching a film and you're looking at a certain scene. Mm-hmm. Do you have a list of songs you're thinking of? Do you immediately think of one artist, one type of thing? Are you reaching out to different people? Are you trying different songs to see what fits?
Yes, all of it. So in some cases, the director, the showrunner has I want this song for this, like Spike with Change Is Gonna Come, right? Mm-hmm. That song, I'm sure, was picked when he wrote the scene, period, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's other stuff where you say, all right, man, this is the obvious choice, but maybe we use something else. And so what's been fun about Washington Black is that I've been able to, kind of do like some really fun research on, Black composers and to try to just get some really cool, Easter eggy kind of things. And one of the characters is a piano player. And so, we had to give her a voice in terms of what she would play. She's a mixed race kid that's passing, but her mother was from Solomon Islands and was like very, But what did Solomon Islands music sound like in 1830? You know what I mean? So kind of. Or what would she have learned? And then her father is from England, and he was very much into classical. But would she be, But then she liked to play in speakeasy, so we had to give her a vibe.
Your backstory. The backstory will inform what she's doing.
Will inform what she should play. And I have this wonderful piano player, keyboard producer who lived. Actually, he moved from Harlem, but he's from Connecticut. But he was part of this band called Freelance. His name's Chad Self, and. So me and Chad, I would just sit with Chad and be like, I need a couple of things that feel like this, and I need a couple of things that feel like that. And Chad is a master. And he's like, I'm going to give you some Chopin feeling, moody vibe shit, and then he'd go and send me some, and we just rock like that. Or we'd say, oh man, this is cool. Let's do a, soca cover for the plantation scene in Barbados, but we'll do it in instrumentation that only would happen in this era, right? So you might hear Savannah Grass, but it'll be with, djembe drums and shit, right? So we're just figuring out ways to be kind of like fun and creative and not obvious, but still have some nods to to what we feel like. Ali is incredible about which drums were played in which regions of the world, and this is a we have like, I found like Inuit throat singers for a scene, because there's a scene where he's in the Arctic. You know what I'm saying? And so we're just trying to make sure that shit is true. So it's been a fun research kind of nerd out experience in terms of finding stuff. In terms of like Wash the Black, which is like what's gonna feel cool. And so a lot of the stuff Rada already had, a lot of the ideas she had, and then I would maybe provide alternatives if I heard something. I'm like, what might work better here, man, if we just. Or she might find something that was like, that's going to be really, really expensive, but let me give you something that feels just as good from this indie artist. You know what I mean? That we could clear, for less, but actually may even hit the point home even harder. Or let's go remake that, or let's, remix it, or let's do something. Let's do some things. Let's be hip hop about it.
How does the publishing work for that portion of the movie? Are they getting a flat fee for the usage? Is there a different deal now with streaming, because these movies go to streaming and now your song is there too in the film? Like,
for those of you playing the ad-lib version of our game, Guy is making strange faces and shrugging his shoulders.
To quote the great Kool Moe Dee, it's the Wild Wild West. So there are some steadfast things. So you clear the master use, you clear the publishing. Mm-hmm. If it's a song that was already existed, and yes, at that point the artist does get some proper royalty for the film, and for if it's used in soundtrack form or anything that's created specifically for the film. Mm-hmm. If I go to somebody and say create this piece of music, it's a work for hire. Right. They don't get nothing. You know what I mean? So now with for the old version, so the producers that did beats and stuff, I'm like, these beats was created before this film. You didn't go in and create it for the film, so you own that. You don't give them, because they're like, we should own that. I'm like, you can't own it. That was their beats, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So, there's ways around stuff. And if somebody really wants to use something, but if you hire a composer, that's this is it. It's the films, the film company, or the Disneys or whatever, they own the publishing.
Yeah, it's really. I was telling a friend that he was asking me about the Prince reissues. I said, why haven't they reissued Batman with the extra cuts? I was like, because Warner Films owns the Batman.
Warner probably owns all of that, yeah.
They do, which is why he didn't really perform a lot of those songs live, because he didn't own that. And also, I believe the film company, they haven't done a reissue of Parade, which was the soundtrack to Under the Cherry Moon. I believe I believe they own that as well.
They probably did, because that was early enough in his career where he probably wasn't on his rampage. Mm-hmm. So he was taking the checks as opposed to writing slave on his face.
Well, what's a really interesting thing? It's there are certain, did you watch Reservation Dogs at all? I am on a tirade.
I did. I watched it. I didn't finish it. But
I just thought the way they used music was really, really fascinating. Oh. It really enhanced what was going on.
People are genius levels in this era, particularly in the streaming era, of how. I thought Donald Glover with Atlanta was amazing. The way he used music.
Was really great music.
I thought it was great.
Had great.
Insecure was great.
Great music.
So that's Kier. I can't remember Kier Lehman. I think he's a music supervisor. And what was great about Insecure was that they would find shit that wasn't popping yet, but it had the vibe. So he was great at that.
And didn't Raphael Sadiq work on Insecure as well?
Yeah, Raphael Sadiq was he did the score. He was a composer. And but I think the first season it was him and Solange, and then I think he did the rest. Right. Sadiq is great. I thought that Bridgerton using covers of kind classical songs of
Well, that's
famous
what I
songs.
wanted to ask you about, because there's this phenomenon now, which kind of started, I guess, with Kate Bush with Running Up That Hill, where people are taking songs and putting them in a different context, and suddenly you have songs that have not been on the charts in decades are huge. Is this going to become... It's great for the artist. It certainly was great for Kate Bush. I mean, it brought her to the attention of people. Murder on the Dance Floor is now a big hit. Do you think that's going to be kind of played out in a way? It's going to get a little gimmicky to keep doing that?
Well, I think that there's so many different ways you can do that it won't get gimmicky. I think that version of it might get gimmicky, but you can always... It's such a rich pool of music. I was watching Raising Kanan on Stars the other day. So spin off of Power. It's actually really, really good. But it takes place in late 80s, early 90s Queens drug scene, right? And they must have got a budget this year because the motherfuckers are playing music. And they put in Arrested Development, Tennessee, and I almost jumped out my chair. It was like, oh!
That's money.
Yeah. So I know they're spending some bread this year. But I think that because folks are telling stories from different eras, that there's always going to be a place to use music of the past in clever ways, whether it's, remaking them, whether it's, remixing them or just getting the idea of them or whatever. I think that's always going to be that, it's hip hop, man. That's, to me, like, I don't care who does it. It's hip hop.
And the truth of the matter is, like, nobody pushed these songs out there to suddenly be a hit, right? And there's so much great music, and I think there are young people who don't know a lot of these artists and songs, so it's new to them, which is great. That's why it's evergreen.
That's so, with the curmudgeony folks that we are in the music game, everything was better before, and the thing that's great now is that when a record is released, almost doesn't even matter. It's like, because of the TikToks of the world and all that shit, you can have a record that you put out that was some marginal shit in 1999 and now is all of a sudden got 1 billion streams because some kid discovered that it said this one thing that matched what they wanted to put on. And I think that's brilliant because there's a bunch of people I know that have really, 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 benefited from it. I mean, I think we're going to finally get like a gold plaque on Pharaoh because of TikTok, because of Simon Says on, these different platforms. So, like I'm open to whatever. I'm not that curmudgeony. I am somewhat, but I'm also like, hey man, the beauty of owning your masters and the beauty of owning your publishing is that you can now place your music in different contexts that, that'll probably be more valuable than whenever you
ever
release
imagine.
It.
Yeah, because now there's so many places for it to go, and if you own your masters and control that whole situation, there's no middleman. It's you making
what
the
happens
decision.
when you sell it? Like a lot of artists are selling their catalog.
Well, you better sell it for enough that that you don't have to, that it don't matter,
right?
Because.
I think some of them are going to have regrets for that. I absolutely 1,000% think people jumping onto that, or some of them are going to have regrets.
It's very hard to tell somebody not to take $20 million. It's just incredibly difficult. And I've had these conversations with these guys, these hedge fund guys, and a couple of cats, and I'm like, okay, so you want to buy this catalog? Tell me what I'm missing because it doesn't make sense that you want to overpay for this much. So, did you find life on Mars? What the fuck are you doing? Like, what's the thing that you're doing that you're going to use this music for? And so, what I'm suggesting to people, and there's a couple of folks that I'm advising on this, is that sell part of it, don't sell the whole thing, because whatever's gonna benefit, whatever they want it for, you should be in on. So don't sell the whole thing. Just take half the money, sell half of it. And keep the other half and let them go to work for you.
Or
and so,
or keep it all, hire your own administrator to go out there and find syncs for you and keep all your money. Because that's all they want to do is sync it up, getting in movies and TV. That's all they want to
do. But I also think that what they're doing is that there is, technology moves at the speed of light, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's, with AI and VR and all this other shit that's popping up, every 2 years that shit changes into something, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what is the new thing, you're always going to need music for it.
Right.
Whatever the new thing is, you're going to need music for it. You're going to need content. Content is king. And somebody did a calculation that said we spend more money licensing this fucking music than, give that motherfucker $100 million because we're going to make $10 billion off of it, Yep. And so, and because, Olivier Chastain told me, he said, 90s hip hop is equivalent to him to classic rock. He said that shit is, he said, so even the shit in the 90s hip hop that was like marginal hits or whatever, that shit is gold to him. You know what I mean? And he's like, they're going to keep going back to that well. Kia commercials.
It's got the cachet of the era. It's got the cachet of the
cachet of when it really came to, it was before it got,
It was a pure form of it.
It's dead stock. It's dead stock music, and you know what I mean. It's like like you said, Courtney. It's a pure. It's like before everybody got their hands on it.
Yeah, pre glam rock. So
wait a minute. I love glam rock.
I know you do.
I'm offended by that.
Nobody would call it classic though. Anyway, so all
right, I gotta go, guys. Sorry. I will fight to the death to defend my New York Dolls.
Let's define it. I'm not talking Ziggy Stardust. I'm talking, winger. Anyway, so
that's not glam rock. That's hair bands. There's a difference.
But David Lee Roth solo career shit. Anyway.
That's
so good. You got to remember. So my sister's like, hardcore. Who Zeppelin, and then as I come of age, these people that were her heroes are now in, doing California Girls remakes and shit. And she's like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm going to send you a New York Dolls greatest hits, and you will thank me forever.
Oh, listen, I like you all. Yeah, I like New York Dolls.
They're from Staten Island. Come on, David Johansen. He's Staten
David
Island.
Johansen. I know. That was like our claim to fame until the Foursome D's finally hit. Anyway, which was my entry into the music business. Foursome D's, man, going on tour. I'm like almost
love is a house. Love is a house.
I'm the almost famous kid. I was in high school. I was going on tour in the summers with the Foursome D's and New Edition and shit, jumping on the bus.
Oh my god, that we have to have you back for that.
Yeah. Anything else on soundtracks? I'm sorry.
Favorite soundtrack, real quick.
Favorite soundtrack, man. Somewhere between I don't know, Love Jones and
I was gonna say that.
I worked that record.
You worked that record? Oh yeah,
I was at Columbia. I worked that record.
But I'm sure
that's an excellent soundtrack.
Boomerang.
But really, Sparkle.
Okay.
Let me just tell you
then Superfly.
Shaft.
Superfly. When you had one composer doing the soundtrack.
Yeah, anything Curtis Mayfield did, and James Brown with Across 110th Street, and like those.
Bobby Womack with Across 110th.
All of those fucking soundtracks.
Mine is Fame. The Fame soundtrack is my favorite.
Oh, Fame was classic.
I love the Fame soundtrack.
I love the Until the End of the World soundtrack. I hated the Basquiat soundtrack.
I hated the soundtracks. I hated the Kevin Lyles, Leord's, break a new artist soundtracks. I hated that ever. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it sounded like. It sounded like one of those promotional tapes they used to hand out at the new music seminar.
Yeah, just call it a compilation. That shit was just a compilation album. So I like soundtracks that have shit to do with the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why, Wait and Exhale and them shits was like amazing because it was like these songs are in the movie and they tell you the storyline and they come across. I love Parade. Parade was so
Parade
much better than the fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I just listen. I still listen to, like, I have a whole soundtrack section. I just listen to my Streets of Fire soundtrack. I love that soundtrack. Yeah. I still listen to my Jaws soundtrack. Believe it or not, I love the orchestration of that soundtrack. Amazing.
Yeah, Streets of Fire was amazing. You know, there's like, soundtracks. It's a lost art. Me and Rada was supposed to put out a soundtrack for the old version, and Netflix just got weird when they got it. So we ended up doing one song. We did a song with Ghostface, Styles P, Remy Martin, Dave East, and Nas. Yes, I can't believe I had all those people on the song, and produced by Beat Miners, and nobody ever heard it. But that shit was cold. Because fucking Mass Appeal didn't promote it like they were supposed to, but whatever. It was dope.
It's so funny that I saw the video on one of those random channels not literally a week ago. The Panther soundtrack that had they had literally like 90 people on it.
Because they also had 90 rappers in the film, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna jump in and be the Karen here for a second. Mm-hmm. We have to wrap because just one of us has to go to their job that's paying their bills, since no one wants to hire me to write anymore.
Well, there's no place to write anymore. Everybody.
That is a good point.
Where's there to write?
I'll write on the walls.
Listen, Sports Illustrated's gone. You can't even get swimsuit issues off.
Wait a minute.
Like, what the fuck we doing?
Until you just said that, it's like, holy shit, I fucking forgot about the swimsuit issue.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Those girls are going to have to walk around on the street in their underwear. All right. And on that note, Guy, it's going to be bad. Don't sign off yet, because we have to say goodbye to you. Guy, it was lovely to see you in yellow screen, black screen, or in full screen. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining our little dog and pony show.
Let me tell you this before you leave, and I'm sorry to hold you up because I know you have a real job. I want to tell you what this is.
Put that in quotations.
Yeah, what is that?
So
balloons are going up.
Balloons are going up
on my screen.
Oh, wow. Okay, because that happens sometimes. So this is a wooden replica of a music note.
That's what I wondered.
Right? Yeah. And it's a gift my wife gave me, and it is the best gift. I'm going to see if I can get the QR code to work.
And does it play when you scan the QR code?
Yes, it does. And this is...
Oh, wow.
So I just wanted you to know, on that note, that
literally
my gifts are cooler than yours. And that this is what we dance to at our wedding. So anyway.
And it's what you dance to at your birthday party. Remember that. All right.
Yes.
Courtney, take us out. Guys, stay on. So don't log off before we can unrecord you.
Okay, great.
And all the things. You know what it is, people. You find us every week on the Pantheon Podcast Network. Thank you for listening to us there. Follow us on Instagram at ImmaLetYouFinish NY, on Facebook at ImmaLetYouFinish, all one word, on TikTok, ImmaLetYouFinish Podcast. We're on that other thing, but I'm not allowed to say it because Amy hates them, and so do I.
Every human being with a soul and a moral conscience hates them.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, this is Liberty DeVito.
This is Mike Del Giudice.
This is Michael Cavanaugh from Broadway's Moving Out.
This is John Jackson, director of the Billy Joel Archive.
This is Russell Javers.
This is Richie Cannata, and you're listening to Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast. It's awesome.
I'm Michael Grosvenor.
And I'm Jack Fernino.
We're lifelong Billy Joel fans who launched a podcast in 2020 celebrating the music we love.
Whether you're looking for the greatest hits or the B-sides and rarities, you'll find it all here. And if you've ever wondered what happens behind the scenes of a concert or recording session, we've got you covered.
Join us as we explore albums, tours, band members, the latest news, and more. You'll also get a unique glimpse into the music industry straight from the musicians and other professionals who help make it all happen.
Tune into Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast at glasshousespod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Glass Houses, a Billy Joel podcast is a proud member of the Pantheon Podcasts Network.